All right, this is chapter 4, lesson 6, multiply fractions. So when I'm multiplying fractions, it's actually pretty simple. The idea is that I'm multiplying straight across, okay? And then you're simplifying. So in words, to multiply fractions, I multiply the numerators, and then I multiply the denominators, and then if I need to, I simplify, okay? So when multiplying two fractions, I write the blank in simplest form. The numerator and denominator of either fraction may have common factors. If this is the case, you can simplify before multiplying. So in that first blank, you're going to write fraction. So I write the fraction in simplest form, then I multiply my numerators, and then I multiply my denominators, and then I simplify if possible, okay? When multiplying by a mixed number, you can rename the mixed number as a blank blank. In those blanks, you're writing improper fraction. You can also multiply mixed numbers using the distributive property and mental math. Taking a look at a couple of examples. My first example, 2 times negative 3/4. So I rename 2 as a fraction, 2 over 1. Okay, then I multiply 2 times 3 gives me 6, and 1 times 4 gives me 4. So I get negative 6/4, and then I can simplify. Dividing both by 2, I get negative 3/2, or negative 1 1/2. Okay, remember there was a negative there. I can also recognize that 2 and 4 I can simplify. So 2 would become 1 and 4 would become 2, and I get the same answer at the end. Okay? So it's just a matter of which way you want to do it, if you want to simplify before or if you want to simplify at the end. Okay? The second example I have is 1/2 times 4 2/5. I rename 4 2/5 as an improper fraction. So 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22/5. Alright, so I rename 4 2/5 as an improper fraction. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22, so I get 22/5. Then I can multiply 1 times 1/2 times 22/5. I can simplify first. 2 goes into 22, 1 time and 11 times respectively. 1 times 11 is 11, 1 times 5 is 5, and then I get 2 and 1/5 when I change it back into a mixed number. Usually when you're doing things, they want you to change them back to mixed numbers because that is the simplest form. You can leave it as an improper fraction. Technically, that is also simplest form. So make sure you read the directions and figure out if it's asking you to simplify or if it's asking you to change it into a mixed number. Alright, there are a couple of try problems out below. I want you to go ahead, pause the video, try them out, and when you're done, we'll go over the answers together. Alright, now that you've had a chance to try out the try problems, let's go over the answers together. So the first question I have says multiply. Write in simplest form negative 1/3 times negative 3/7. So I can multiply straight across. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3, and 3 times 7 is 21. Then I divide both numerator and denominator by 3, so I get 1/7. I could have also recognized that this cancels, and I would get 1/7 at the end as well. Okay, the second problem I have says multiply negative 1 7/8 times negative 2 2/5 in simplest form. So I'm going to go ahead and change both of these into improper fractions. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 7 is 15, so I have negative 15/8 times 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12, negative 12/5. Okay. So I recognized here that 5 and 15 cancel. So 5 becomes 1 and 15 becomes 3. 8 and 12 also cancel. If I divide by 2, this becomes, actually if I divide by 4, So divide by 4, divide this by 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay? From here, I can multiply 3 times 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9, and 2 times 1 is 2, and I can change 9 halves back into a mixed number. 2 goes into 9 4 times, and I'm left with 1 half. You can also multiply negative 15 times negative 12 and 8 times 5. You'll still get 4 1/2. That way I'm just not dealing with large numbers. It's up to you, completely up to you, whichever way you'd like to do it. Right? So that is the end of chapter 4, lesson 6.